On.
That's a recording from last time.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning, everybody. This is Pastor Ned, and I'm glad to be with you. Happy New Year, and grateful that you could be with us today. And today is a beautiful day. I just thought I would come do the lobby outside in my back patio. You could see a little bit about be outdoors. It's so nice out, the fresh air, the sunshine, clear blue skies today. I think I'm going to take a walk after church today. But anyway, want to hear some of your thoughts on the message today. I thought it was really, really great. I mean, for those of you who are on YouTube, you're joining us today, sometime today. So I'd love to hear some of your comments. You can write some comments down in the comment section below the screen today. But would love to hear some of what you thought about Pastor Clark's message today. Here's some of the things that kind of struck me that I thought was really, really great. The whole concept of God's presence with us, is a powerful, powerful one that I think that many times Christians don't. We sometimes forget about that. The Israelites forgot about it, right? God's presence with them like a cloud by day and a fire by night, and yet, Moses is gone from them for 3 or 4 days, and then they build a golden calf, and it's like, spiritual amnesia sets in when we're in a crisis. We forget what God has done for us in the past. So. In what ways have you seen God's presence in your life in the last year, in 2020? I know we've just gone through a pandemic, and that's always it's been a little bit of a stressor for a lot of people. But I don't know. For me, it's been a great time to be able to connect with God in a powerful way, and to really practice His presence in my life. Something that I didn't really necessarily do as much as I could have done in previous years, because we get so busy with our lives that things kind of crowd out God's presence in our life, and yet God desires to be there. So I'd love to hear some of your thoughts today about the message today. What ways, what ways do you have you seen God's presence powerfully in your life in this last year? Love to hear you. Just put something in the public chat area, and I read them, and want to read them out loud, because people who tune in on YouTube later on can a little bit can see what people are thinking in that regard, what you're thinking. But the Karen says, God blessed you with a new job. That was better than I was asking for. Well, that's cool. That God showed up in a powerful way for you, Karen. That's pretty cool when God does that, right? Those unexpected serendipities of life in that regards, How have you seen God's presence in your life? And when do you, are there specific times you sense God's presence in your life? For me, I sense God's presence when I'm really in those valleys. That's the interesting thing. I mean, sure, I experience God's presence on those mountaintop experiences, but I think of Psalm 23, where David says, "Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I fear no evil, because Thou art with me. Your presence is with me." Right? And Anthony writes, thanks, Anthony, for sharing this. Thankful for the daily verses in the text loop. Yeah, that's powerful, right? They've helped me keep accountable, and I get to be in His presence each morning in His Word. That is so true, Anthony. It's a great little thing. If you're not part of that text loop, or you're in a Read It, Write It, Pray It, Share It group, it's easy to get involved with one. Just you can email me at ned.beadle@erc.la, and we'll get you connected to a text loop, and it's a great way to practice the presence of God in your life. The whole Bible, the whole issue of God becoming Emmanuel, is about becoming God present with us, right? God built tabernacles and temples to be with His people, to signify His presence with people, and then He comes in the person of Jesus Christ. Comes incarnate, right? The Word became flesh and made His dwelling among us, right? And so that's a powerful thing that we can relate to. God comes to dwell within our hearts, and then He gives us the Holy Spirit to dwell within our hearts as well too. So God never leaves us. He never forsakes us. He never runs out on us. His love never fails and never gives up, right? That song that says that. So have you found what kind of gets in the way of you experiencing God's presence in your life? Is it your schedule? Are you focused on some of the wrong things? Palacios says praying in the Spirit helps me stay in the presence. Meditation, music, yeah. I think every morning I listen to, I miss being in worship live with everybody. I hope that we're going to get to see that in 2021. I really believe we are, but every morning in YouTube, I'm watching worship music and I'm worshiping the Lord, and that helps me to stay in His presence. Music is going in my house all the time. Music is a great way to stay in the presence of God. Being in the Word helps us to stay in the presence of God. I find connecting with other people is a way to practice the presence of God. Reaching out through a phone call, through a text, through an email, through a card. Those are all great ways to stay connected to Christ in that regard, to encourage each one another. So, what are some of the ways that you plan to step into the presence of God in 2021? It's about the it's about the habits, those little tiny habits that we make each and every day that make big changes, that create remarkable, not big changes, it's the tiny changes that have remarkable results. So if it's just spending 5 minutes a day with God and His Word over 365 days, that's a lot of time with God, more than spending zero, right? So it's that practicing those presence in your life. It is about the habits, those tiny habits making. In fact, I'm reading a book called Atomic Habits: Tiny Changes, Remarkable Results. And just instead of setting goals for 2021, I'm just trying to establish little tiny habitual changes in my life that will have, I believe, remarkable results. I have a goal. One of my big goals for 2021 is to have God take me into a wholesome way of thinking, a deeper, wholesome way of thinking. But I don't. To do that, I have to do my part in practicing the presence of God daily in my life. So, how will you step into practicing the presence of God in your life, and how important is that to you? That's really a key thing for you. How will you step into that? Palacios says music is one of the ways. Praying in the Spirit is one way. Anthony says is participating in the Read It, Write It, Pray It, Share It text group. Those are great ways to practice the presence of God in our lives, right? And so the other thing I really appreciate about Clark's message was this illustration about his daughter, his 1-year-old daughter, and that he put her in the living room, but then she would find her way, right at his feet, because she wanted to be with her daddy. She didn't really want the presence. She wanted to be in her daddy's presence, right? And I was thinking about that, with kids. Kids really want their parents to be with them. That's the greatest presence we can give them, is to be with them. So often I know families when they go through a family breakup, or there's the divorce, or one parent is absent, then that parent tries to make up being absent from the child by providing them with gifts or presents and thinking that's going to make up it. Really, all that kid wants is for that dad or that mom to be with them. And I shared even in the chat earlier on that even when they're adolescents, they may act like they don't want you around, but in essence they really do. They want their parents to be around. They want their family to be around. That's really, really an important for kids. So how will you step into the presence of God in 2021? That's something that I think would be good for you to really spend some time and ask. And is there anything that's in the way of you practicing the presence of God right now? Is there something you need to give up in your schedule in order to step more into God's presence each and every day of your life? What sacrifice would you have to make in order to step into God's presence for your life? So those are things that I think are really important for us to kind of evaluate and to move forward with God. So today's a beautiful day. I think I'm going to take a walk with my wife and enjoy the fresh air and the sunshine. I hope you get outdoors and enjoy a little bit of that sunshine and that fresh air. Outdoors is a great way to practice the presence of God, right? Breathe in that fresh air. Breathe in the presence of God as you're walking and as you're exercising, or just sitting out in the backyard or the front yard, just watching people. So there's a lot of ways to practice the presence of God in your life. So anyway, I pray you have a great day. Thanks for being with us today. Come back next week. We'll see you next week, and I know we're going to have another great service and another great message. So God bless you. Have a great day, everybody. Thanks for being with us. All right.